So many people over the past week have taken to the First Descendant and have been playing it, as it is a free-to-play game that did release this past week. There was some launch issues, but if you are having issues or starting to slow down in your progress, one of the areas that you might be slowing down is on Void Intercept battles. And most likely it's either Devourer or Pyromaniac. I am currently at the Pyromaniac area. So, what you probably want to do and what you need to do, and this is the gameplay loop that they were kind of showing you off, but at the Descent Instructor, this person, or this robot, was kind of teaching you along the way kind of how to level up your gear and your descent. But for me, the descent instructor was kind of bugged out, and for whatever reason the dialogue was just going by really fast. I don't know if that's the way it was supposed to do it or not, but basically what you need to start to do is pay attention to the different combat areas that you're going to be in. Okay, so if you are at Devourer, what you want to do is look at the destructible parts, and then if you go over to the next page at the bottom, you can see you can move it to the next page. Removable parts, you got the core, shoulder, that kind of stuff. Or on the Pyromaniac, actually has 3 destructible parts, removable parts, and destructible parts when frenzied. It has this big solar or yellow or red tube that kind of pops up out of his back. The rest of his body will be immune, but that is the thing you will need to hit, okay? So the other things that you will need to pay attention to here is on the left side. The weak point, attack attribute, attribute resistant, recommended attribute resistance. So this is kind of just gives you the general, what their attack is, what their resistance is, and, what you need to build into for resistance as well. And the attribute resistance, this is probably one of the more main things to kind of focus on, okay? Your weapons and or skills need to be geared for the very weak. So the Pyromaniac in this case is very weak to chill effects. So any weapons or weapon mods that have the chill effect, that is something that you want to take into the Pyromaniac. Normal or the toxic, probably wouldn't be too bad, but you definitely want to be leaning as much into that chill as well. As far as damage resistance, you want to go as much into that fire resistance as possible. And then real quick, just looking at back of the Devourer real quick, so just kind of get an idea, make sure we're on the same page of what we're talking about here. Attribute resistance, you want to be building into as much electric damage as possible. It's very weak to electric damage. Solar or fire damage is normal. So those are the two you probably want to build into the most likely. Electric damage, this is the one you definitely want to build into. Recommended attribute resistance, toxin resistance 1800. So you want to get as much toxin resistance as possible. So now that we have kind of an understanding of what we need to do to win those battles, how do we do it? Well, the part of the game that many people will kind of breeze by, in the early parts is modding and modding your weapons. So when you go to do those battles, especially if you are just getting to those battles, you need to have basically your max gear. Your highest level gear needs to be your best gear, most likely. And really what you're looking for is you're looking for weapons that have, some of those effects. Like for the Pyromancer, chill has, it was very weak to chill. So if you can have chill attack on your weapons, that is something that you are looking for. You are also looking for modules or mods that you can put on your weapons that have different, status effects, right? So if you're looking for different mods, and I get that a lot of people early on, you're using probably this equip recommended module, and it would throw a bunch of mods on here, okay? You don't need to do that anymore at this point in time, okay? It's going to be best that you pick the mods that you want to use. And what you want to do is they actually have this key button down here. So if you're looking for a bunch of things, let's say chill or weak point damage. Weak point damage actually would be very good against a lot of these Colossi as they have weak points. So you're looking for weak point damage right there. This weak point site, that would be a good one to have. Another one that would be good to have, weak point damage, have aiming. This would also be a good mod to have on. This one actually reduces your accuracy. You need to make sure that you do pay attention to those. Pinpoint shot. It has firearm attack and weak point damage. This one I wouldn't focus on so much, right? Weak point damage is like that second tier or second benefit. It's not the main benefit. So I wouldn't focus on that one as much. You also have focus fire here, weak point damage +8. That's like the primary one here. So that would be one that you maybe want to focus on as well. And then you have this target detection, firearm, critical hit damage +8, weak point damage +2%. So those, I wouldn't focus on those, right? If it's weak point damage is like the second perk of it, I wouldn't, that's not really one I would choose to focus on all that much. What I would focus on instead is the ones that have weak point damage. That's the main or the bigger of the numbers of the benefits. Like this one, having aiming or have aiming, you know, you want to focus on that. Weak point damage +10%. That's pretty good. Accuracy is -5%. So that's not good, especially if you're going to put it on a gun that already has bad accuracy. You probably don't want to do that. And you can also find other things that have chill attack. Like I have chill priority on this weapon here. It has chill attack of +13%. And then also have chill enhancement, adds chill attack equal to 8% of firearm attack. So that is kind of how you find things. This key thing, it would be very beneficial to kind of use this to find the different mods that have, you know, certain names or whatever. If you don't see, you see chill resistance, fire resistance, toxin resistance, electric resistance, but you don't see those on the attack side. And so what do you do then? Well, you can actually just type in here chill and you can search for it, and then boom, you got chill enhancement. So there you go. I've already actually put that on here, and there you go. The other thing that you want to make sure you do or don't do, actually it's very important, is you do not have to fill up every mod slot, okay? This is where you can come over to Cilion and use this vendor to enhance your modules. And basically you just level them up, and you can swap over to your weapons, and you can see which weapons have mods on them. And if I want to, level up my shield priority, I just come in here, I select how much I would actually like to level it up or whatnot. And if I just want to level up 2 ranks, hit enhance, boom, up 2 ranks. And so it is really important to understand what mods you want to put on a weapon, because they all will take up your module capacity. So the more mods that you actually have on a weapon, the more they will take up your module capacity. The less mods you have, the less they will take up. But you can make the mods that you put on a weapon, if you don't fill out all of these mod slots, the higher you can level them up. And therefore, the higher your module energy, I guess, would go up to the max, right? My max here is 43. My module capacity is 33. So I can level up these different mods up to that level of 43, and that is my max. Unless I use another thing in the game, I'm not going to get into all that. That will increase my module capacity, but you don't have to fill out all of these mod slots. Pick the mods that you need for whatever you are going to do and level them up. The same thing goes for your Descendant mods. You don't need to have them fully kitted out. You don't have to take up every slot. Okay, you can see I have all these slots taken up, but my module capacity is actually pretty much maxed out. I'm at 69 of 70. And so some of these I don't need. I can take some of them off and go further into or level up some of these ones that I've already leveled up that I'm using more of. So just understand that you are now at that part of that game that you are now going to need to be leveling stuff up and finding weapons and gear that best suit the activity you are going to do, right? So when you are now starting to look for weapons, you want to look at those rare weapons that have those 4 different effects on them and figure out if there's a good synergy there, if you can use that in some part of the game, maybe against certain Colossi or an enemy faction in the game. And that I would maybe even save that. So like, if you got a really good role to go and fight against the Pyromancer, then I would probably just hold on to it. I would hold on to it until you kind of need it for that. And if you're wanting to build into some of that damage resistance for that, you know, the Colossi, different Colossi attacks, make sure you build into what you need for the Colossi kind of attacks. And what you can do is come over to the quick kind of find feature on that little key symbol. And since I'm going to be going into Pyromancer, I'm going to look for fire resistance, and I only have 1, so I'm going to take that. I'm going to overlay it or overlap, and it will take off something else that I already have slotted there, and there you go. And now I am going to kind of go through and remove other things I don't need here, and I'm going to level up this fire resistance or this heat antibody mod. So I highly recommend also doing that for whichever Colossi you are also going to be fighting. And you are wanting to kind of build into your defense, this is your damage resistance, and shields, health, that kind of stuff, and then any kind of like fire resistance. Anything that kind of helps keep you alive, keep you in it, so you can keep doing damage. That's the most important thing. And how you kind of get some of that stuff, well, that is it, man. That is the part of the game where you just kind of go and you can use the access info tab here and look up where different things are, enhancement materials, modules, components, and then figure it out in the map world where things kind of are and where you need to go and get them and that kind of stuff, and where you can go farm them. So that's the part that you are basically at now. You need to kind of go farm. You need to go get the weapons you want, the kind of roles that you want. And then you need to also be kind of leveling things out, leveling things up, and getting the better gear for what you are trying to accomplish. And some of it, you might actually be going back and playing previous zones, and you're probably going to start to see people running the same mission over and over and over again. And one thing I'm going to show off real quick, if you don't know, the access info panel here in the modules area, just real quick, let me just show you this. So honestly, you can look up any mod in here, you know, that's in the game. And one of the cool things that's actually about this system is you can see where you get it. So like toxin enhancement, it's kind of blacked out a little bit, it's kind of shaded out. I don't have this, so I hit on X and then I bring up this list here on how I get it. It's in the fortress area on normal or hard ship charging facility. So I don't have access to the fortress area, so I obviously haven't gotten that, and I won't be able to go get that. But here's a better insight. Well, what about this one? If I bring up this one, Kingston, a whole bunch of Kingston places is where you kind of get this. Normal or hard, I think I saw down below. Yeah, hard was down below. And then the Vulgus field generator and some other things like that. So this will tell you kind of where to go. Obviously, you can just go into the Kingston area, and basically it looks like just about every place will have this mod, or you can go farm out for that mod and that kind of thing. So use this to kind of figure out where your things are. The one thing I will say that I'm very disappointed in is the weapons for, you know, like the standard, the blue weapons and the purple weapons, the rare weapons, they're not in that catalog at all. So that is the one thing that's kind of a bummer. So to figure out which weapons, or if you want to go try to farm for a specific weapon, you need to kind of just hover over each one of these, different missions and kind of scroll down to the bottom, and you will see the weapons that have a possibility of dropping there. That you get the Magnus AA or the New Beginnings. And so that is how you kind of look around for which weapon drops from which activity, and you're looking for whatever you're trying to find, whatever weapon you're trying to look for. There's a few different ones out there right now that are pretty solid, like this tamer. This is kind of where I went to go find a tamer, and I was able to get one of those. So yeah, I just wanted to provide some quick tips or a quick idea of what you are trying to do now. You really need to start building your character, your weapons into a very specific damage and resistance type to kind of get back past some of those colossi and some of those combatants that you will face then in the open field, probably coming, because I would imagine a lot of y'all have started noticing the game gets a little tough at that level. So hopefully this was beneficial to you. Alrighty, take care.